Hey guys, Shay2800 here. So back with another how-to, this time on the latest update of Zelcron. This is technically the third time I've done something like this, but yeah, this is the newest updated form. These how-tos are always kind of nerve-wracking to make, because you always gotta make sure, okay, am I actually building this right? Like, when I made this, I took a lot of pictures with my phone, just so I could look back and reference to it. And even then, like, I can recall several mistakes I did where I had to, like, redo, and, one of them you'll see in a bit. I only realized my mistake so late, so I'll be showing a quick fix on how to do that. But, yeah. As you'll see soon, I'm technically using, I kind of ended up using a mix of blue and black pins. I think I was kind of using, like, the parts what I had prior, and then, like, mixing in new stuff. So just use whatever you have available, I guess. A lot like the how-to with Lucarian. This is there's a lot of filling in spots. So there's a lot of stuff to fill in. Yeah, this is the part where you see kind of a mistake. Like, you'll see the pin. I put some of the pins in the wrong place. I'll be showing how to fix that later. Basically, if it seems like some of the later spots aren't fitting in properly, then yeah, that's when you have to fix some of those pins. With all the, with how much has been going to, like, a lot of my recent builds, I think I'm proud of how much I've gone into, like, the previous builds, but at the same time, it's both a blessing and a curse, because if I want to try to do something like a simpler build, like, just for the heck of it, some people could kind of see it as regressing back a bit, and I don't know. I guess, like, someone could potentially see that as laziness, but people brought up, and I know there have been people, like, bringing up in the past, you don't exactly need a complicated build to make a good mock. Like, I'm working on a mock for the special video I've been working on where recounting the Bionicle Legacy storyline. It's been a lot more work than I thought, but yeah, I'm making a mock that's supposed to be kind of, and it's kind of supposed to be simpler, somewhat simpler than others, anyways, like in a special style. You'll probably recognize it when I actually make a mock video on it. So yeah, that's the hard thing. Yeah, you want to try to, like, fit these in the right way, so it's kind of trapped between those. You might need to do a bit of fiddling around a bit. A lot of this is kind of precise, with, like, you try to move the claws around and that kind of stuff. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what else I plan for this year after I do the after I make the video. I mean, I do have a special countdown for Halloween. I actually had a plan for last year, but then I was too busy. But then I was so busy, I decided to do something simpler and much darker subject matter, if you remember what that ended up being. So this year is more like the year where I try to do the try to finish up those videos that I promised long time ago. So yeah, next year hopefully I can get down to stuff that, like, I really want to do, rather than trying to end up on those promises. Because I promised the fight against Lucarian and Zelcron, and I promised the the video. Oh, okay. Here's the bit. If you want to pause the video right now so you can see how to rearrange those pins, just pause the video now. I'll give you a bit. Okay, you good? Good. And now we come to Zelcron's iconic shoulder blades. I mean, probably not iconic's the right word. Maybe, like, recognizable physical traits is the right term to use. Alright, this is one of two cloth pieces you'll need. You're gonna need at least one hole for this. It kind of goes on in an odd way. A lot of the cloths you're kind of gonna have to cut, for the specific holes, you're likely gonna have to cut them, like, as you're like putting stuff through the holes, just so, like, you can be a better judge of it. Because when you try to do it, if you try to do it like pre-made, then it becomes a lot harder. This stuff is, like, kind of easier when you have, like, tattered cloaks like this, because then it's already supposed to look messy. So hey, then this looks a bit more fine. So excuses. Hooray! Yeah, there's a lot of small pieces when it comes to this, but I actually had to refilm this a couple of times because I actually had like the thing backwards when trying to put it on, so I had the cape backwards, and since you put the the waist cloak on, yeah, so I had to refilm that. Yeah, and yeah, I refilmed this, but not the previous thing. Well, the mistake that I showed you, that I tried showing you how to fix, I'd already filmed about an hour's worth of footage for this, and. Well, not an hour's worth of footage, but I already took about an hour filming all that, so I did not want to do that again. Well, this, I was only wasted a couple minutes, so this was a bit easier to fix. Yeah. Yeah, this entire thing took like over 4 hours to film. Like, this is how-tos like this I would say, are no near as time-consuming as some of the other stuff I filmed, especially in these last few years, but it's... You still need to put in the effort in. Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot of tiny builds in this, but I think you would rather have that than, well, just having it all at once with like a ton of pieces on the screen, and it makes it really difficult to find. Yeah, you can always pause whenever needed, and... yeah, some of you probably don't even want to hear my narration. I mean, I am stumbling a lot just to give something to talk about. Even with notes, it's not really that... It's not... You're not always going to be able to time things perfectly on how much you want to talk about. Sometimes you're not even sure what you want to talk about. So, yeah, la-di-da-di-da, ra-ta-ta-ta-dee, run-ta-doo-doo-doo. Yeah. Where was I? I have no idea. Yeah. So this, I believe, yeah, this should be like the huge chest area. Yeah, so I do hope everyone's being safe during this pandemic. There's still a lot going on, and I don't know when we'll return back to normality, but still, as long as everyone's safe, that's what I mostly care about. Everyone being safe, everyone able to pay their bills and all that. It's really concerning. I've been trying to consider, like, where to go in terms of, like, with life, I suppose. Like, I'm considering, like, maybe I want to, like, look at, like, other YouTube stuff where I could potentially make a living, but YouTube in itself is kind of a pain, especially because it got all that stuff to do with YouTube constantly changing stuff around and, like, copyright and all the BS, so, yeah, I'm just trying to consider some stuff. Like, maybe I'll consider trying to do some live stream stuff, but I might make a separate channel for that away from this. And in general, I have been considering, like, trying to do, like, another channel where I just for, like, all my non-Barnacle stuff, because I have been curious just talking about, like, media as a whole, just, like, stuff that I'm curious about. I feel like could make a good discussion, but time will tell, and I would have to buy necessary equipment for that. Yeah, I have also been getting more into trying out D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, but there's a heck of a lot of rules when it comes to that, so that's something to keep in mind. Yeah, when you're pushing the chest in, you may need to move some the like little things out of the way, like it might move out of the way by itself, so yeah, you're gonna have to move that around. The cave has a lot of like other holes. It's like 6. One for like the front piece, one for the neck, 2 for the shoulder blades, and 1 for the shoulder armor, which we'll be adding later. So yeah, this is something you need to like keep in mind when like cutting all the holes and that kind of stuff. Frankly, with how many pieces this takes, I'm not sure how many people would actually try to be building this. I mean, you're more than welcome to. That's one of the reasons why I'm doing this anyway. But yeah, there's just a lot. This is a lot here in general. Yeah, adding these pieces is kind of difficult. You definitely want to try to like slide things around to make it work. Yeah, I've been wanting to use those G2 or newer claw pieces for like hip armor, but yeah, I eventually come up with a system to make it work, make it flexible enough, because the problem is you want to make it flexible enough so where it doesn't get in the way of anything, but it's still functional. So I think this system was the best compromise I had. I'm pretty proud of it, honestly. Yes, those big shoulder pads. Yeah, honestly, always one of my favorite parts of the Zelcron's whole design. Yeah, not much more left to the body, thank goodness. And the body itself is taking up like half of the video already. And yeah, bodies always tend to be the most complex for whatever reason. But yeah, adding in the wings with the extra like piece there for more articulation and also to widen things out. And with that, the body is finally done. Yeah, now we can actually start moving on to the limbs. This won't take nearly as long. So yeah, I wanted to try to find an excuse to use those that larger foot piece, but because it's nice, but I feel like it could be some filling out. Like you might notice that difference between it and the toes. I feel like there could have been like something to fill it out, something to make it a bit less barren, especially since this mock is already pretty heavily armored. You'll see what I plan on doing pretty soon from here. But honestly, I used like the chrono holding piece from the borax sets to like fill it in. It works surprisingly well. I never know what these pieces are called. Like, I don't know. There's so many Lego pieces out there. I have no idea how everyone's able to like remember all this stuff. You need like an encyclopedic knowledge and all that. And yet some people just like do it pretty easily. Like Mortal Kombat like lists a lot of these pieces in his how-tos. Like, I don't know if he like researched them beforehand. Like, maybe? I don't know. But yeah. One thing that is nice about some of these more complicated builds is like you can try to like fit in some of the smaller, maybe less unorthodox pieces. Like, they don't even have to be smaller. Like these friction pieces I use for like a lot of tie-in sets from about like 2006. 2006 until about 2010. Yeah, you'll find out like how they help fill in things better, but I found that to be pretty useful stuff. The one thing I don't like about those old friction pieces, like with the tie-in stuff, is that it kind of sticks out like it's obviously being used just for balance, and I think the friction pieces that are introduced with the CCBS honestly worked a lot works pretty well. You still need to find stuff to cover things up, but yeah, it's not as discreet. It's more discreet, should I say? Yeah, that's probably the word. And I really love using those Mantac shoulder armor pieces. They work really well for Zelcron, and they just look like big, bulky, powerful. You can use it to cover a lot of stuff. I just love it, and I'm not sure if anybody else has tried using it in that sort of way. Yeah, for the upper armor, this build looks a bit unorthodox, but a lot of it's filling out stuff, and yeah, you'll see how it all works out later as we do it bit by bit. I wonder how long it will take. If someone like followed these instructions while trying to build them themselves, I wonder how long it would actually take them. Well, not just to find the pieces, just like follow along, trying to make sure everything goes as it should, like fixing up the one mistake I had. Yeah. Attach that on. This is another thing I kind of had to redo because I had things backwards. Like, if you plan to do how-tos, try to take pictures, like, not just of the camera you use. Like, I don't know what camera you use to take pictures, but, like, if you use, like, a regular photography camera like I do, and you have a phone, use the phone to, like, take pictures as you take these apart, like, step by step. So when you add these on, it becomes easier, more manageable. Like, if you're doing it with, like, a really simple build, like, if you're just sticking with a slightly advanced version of a slightly advanced Nika build, that, you probably don't need that, but if you're going for something really big and complex, yeah. Because it's hard to remember all that stuff. If anybody can remember how to like put all the stuff together without photography, like I've either done it so much that they're done so much, or they're just godly. They're just godly, gods among men. And yeah, I don't know. Then I doubt that's likely. Yeah, I hope these instructions are at least easy enough to follow. I don't know that many people who's have actually built the stuff from how-tos. I remember one of my close friends, Mika, Mika X built, tried building Lucarian, but he also had a 3D printer to help build some in pieces. So don't know whether or not you want to count as cheating, but I don't know. Yeah, you know, so I'll use sort of wheel pieces to help cover stuff up. They're kind of a bless. They're great for filling stuff up, but they can also be kind of difficult because, well, they can kind of get in the way of certain things. Like, you want to try to make sure they're placed well enough and aren't thick enough. Like one of the hardest things is like making sure that they have the right mobility, because they can be quite restrictive if you don't place them right. Oh yeah, and don't forget to like glue some of those a system build stuff to the hands to make sure it doesn't fall out. Those who watched my last how-to on Lucarian will know the same thing, because it's pretty much the same build, honestly. Yeah. When it comes to a lot when I'm filling in stuff, it's not just about the filling it, but also making it look convincing. Like, you could probably add in a bunch of pieces to fill things in, but it's not gonna look quite as convincing if it's just willy-nilly, because it's a delicate balance, form and function, if that makes sense. Some may prioritize one over the other. I guess I tend to lean a bit more towards form, but if you're doing stop motion, the function is very necessary. Like, even with this mock, it's a bit top-heavy in places, so that's always stuff to keep in mind. I mean, yeah, complicated builds like that's always nice, but at least but like some of like the NICA builds, like, yeah, they're simpler, but you can argue they're a bit more structurally sound, at least. So you shouldn't. While I would encourage you guys to try to make more complicated stuff to like improve your craft, there's nothing necessarily wrong with making something more complex. I mean, as I brought up, I would feel kind of guilty with like trying to like make something simpler, lest it feels like I'm not trying hard enough, especially when I went that far. But even then, in these last few years, I've tried making several not as complex mocks like Mayhem and Bromus, but then again, they were more Torrent-sized mocks. Even then, Bromus was kind of it was a bit more complicated than your average Torrent-sized mock. Yeah. Yeah, those little, I don't know what they're called, the little hand connector pieces, those could be pretty useful if you're trying to, for adding details and helping connect stuff. Alright, we're getting to the end of the arm here. Just gotta connect it all in. I am curious to see, like, what other techniques people would what other mockers would try to, techniques other mockers would use to, like, try to add filler stuff. Okay, this piece is more or less just to help make the arms, the shoulders wider, because without them, then the arms would just kind of bend to the side and not really lay flat, because it's a big, bulky body. Yes, and here's a breather, the head, the most simple part of this. One thing I've noticed with like the black and red pins, like if you want, depending on which one is better for the color scheme, you may want to, like stuff that's easily concealed. Like if you want to use like two of those 2x2 like pole pieces. Again, I don't know what they're called. You can like stick them together and like hide like a red or black one depending on what fits the coasting better. And like with the ones that are more obvious, you could probably like stick with a pin that fits in better with the color scheme better. Yeah, so that's a little tip from me. Because it's hard to find black pins these days, although I don't know how many. I don't know if like Lego's changed anything. We could like find more in Lego sets, or there's just still all red. I don't know. Alright, am I interchanging the terms pins and axles? I don't know. This is on the cuff, so and maybe I am. So among us, I am. But yeah, this is finally the end. Yeah, it's been a big, long journey, so here's some sexy pictures of Zelcron, although no, I don't think anybody would really find them sexy. Anyways, that's about it. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time, which I don't know whether it'll be, which will probably be a mock video. Anyways, Godspeed, everyone.